Hello, Top Fan Rivalry followers and supporters, and welcome to Friday morning. Yep, we made it. It's been a heck of a week, a lot of good interviews, a lot of good people on this week. And now we're bringing back one of the premier shows of Top Fan Rivalry, the first one of the year. Makes sense because college baseball is starting up. We're bringing back College K. That means that I'm Bill, that's Dave, and we are going to have a good time. Dave, season two of College K. How about it?
About it. I can't wait for the season to start. I can't wait to be out at the field under the sun. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's me neither, man. It's been a long time. Pitchers and catchers report next Tuesday, and the whole squad reports next Saturday. So we're 8 days
Yeah.
away, and I
College
think it.
players have college players have been busting it probably for better part of a month already, getting ready for the season. And I think the first games are next weekend.
Yep, exactly.
Junior college started, I think, 2 weeks ago.
There you go. So walk me through. I know there's been a bunch of just different rule changes. Walk everybody through some of the new rules, some of the things that may or may not be or been paid attention to as of late.
Well, there's one thing that's really topical that I wanted to mention, and that's the fact that as a result of a lawsuit, um, anyone who's played junior college baseball or junior college sports is being awarded an extra year of eligibility. So this all goes back to the Vanderbilt quarterback, Diego Pavia, and his ability to get another year of eligibility, and he had a great season. So the latest one is Alberto Osuna. He was a first baseman for North Carolina, left North Carolina because he thought he was out of eligibility. He was going to go play D2 just to stay in the game. And, probably his advisors or somebody said, hey, man, you ought to check this out. And one thing leads to another, and he's now the first baseman in Tennessee.
Hmm.
And the guy's hit, I don't know, what were his stats? 3 years in North Carolina, and he only hit 45 home runs and drove in 140 runs. So pretty good pickup for Tennessee. It's a little crazy that it's going to start to be the norm that people are getting 5 and 6 years of eligibility,
Yeah.
regardless of COVID. And there's rumors that the NCAA is just going to award everyone 5 years of eligibility right off the bat. Part of this decision was that the NCAA has no authority to um, use up your eligibility if you're not playing in an NCAA governed league like junior college.
Okay. Okay. Well, so the good part about it is this gives these guys extra opportunity and extra years of eligibility or year of eligibility. The bad news is we're not encouraging our young adults to graduate in 4 years, right?
And you're
Where
not encouraging these programs to develop players and keep them. You're encouraging them to play the free agent market constantly. With every domino that falls, like this gentleman in Tennessee, somebody else is going to lose playing time that has been there busting their butt. So
yeah,
that's the part that I don't like, that bothers me. It's win above everything else. And you know, they're treating these like professional baseball teams, and it's supposed to be college and it's supposed to be development.
yeah. Well, the business of baseball starts as early as, pony leagues and 13, 14 years old. As you're familiar with, people start following, kids around early on in their life, and they're getting younger and younger. So,
The other one that was news today, or this was Friday, so it would have been Wednesday, Thursday was news, is the Arizona State athletic director Graham Rossini came out in an interview and basically said that the university is going all in on bringing the baseball program back. Kind of like how the football program has kind of resurrected itself. So money into the stadium with the lawsuit, uh, the House lawsuit that's being settled right now. That's going to open up 34 scholarships for Arizona State. baseball players. It's going to open up revenue sharing. Um, so two big pieces of news there. I mean, everyone could have kind of assumed that that might happen. There's been a lot of talk that universities can't afford 34 scholarships. So some will, some won't. The ones that can will have an advantage.
Well, and Arizona State has been a marquee school over the years. I'm looking at some statistics. I'm sure people have missed this, but it looks like they've had 117 players play in the MLB for any significant period of time. Obviously, notable names: Rick Monday, Reggie Jackson, Paul LaDuca, a few others. And so, yeah,
Barry
it's good that,
Bonds,
yeah, well,
Dustin Pedroia.
yeah, Barry, I swear I never took steroids. Bonds. Dustin, I like Dustin. Don't get me started about Dustin. If Dustin Pedroia would have been able to stay healthy and David Wright were able to stay healthy, both of those guys would be in the Hall of Fame. Those guys had great careers. If you could mirror a player to play like Dustin Pedroia, that's a winning
Yeah.
player right there.
So yeah, I
So
mean, there's two pieces of news there. One kind of current season and one kind of forward looking for next season. So when you see, 40 and 50 players coming in fall currently into college camp, they're going to be limited and they're going to have to do some better recruiting and better talent evaluation because you can't over recruit. You can't have five or six or eight extra guys
mhm.
kind of hanging around in case something happens and
Yeah,
kind of hoard talent.
you got to go through and nail it down as best as you can. No, agreed.
I don't know if you heard this one too. This was older news, but it's local to you. But UCLA, the baseball field is on the VA property, the VA hospital's property, right on the highway. And the VA basically said, "You're done. Your lease is up. We want our property back."
yeah,
So UCLA was without a field at part of the, I think, fall until they basically got the VA to give them one more year. So what
yeah,
I'm hearing is that they've got one more year at Jackie Robinson Stadium, and UCLA is searching for a field right now. So
yeah.
kind of an interesting place for a top tier program to be, not having a field secured.
100%, 100%, 100%. So you and I had talked about that about a month or two ago, and it's awkward. I mean, and when you're looking at Major League Baseball, you see ebbs and flows in teams over typically over a 10-year span, right? They're really, really good for 10 years, mediocre or bad for 10 years, and then bounce back. Now, Angels have struggled a little bit longer than that, but with colleges, it's kind of it's kind of a very feast or famine thing. If you're winning, it's easier to recruit people to your college. When you're not winning, you can you can make that 7, 8, 9, 10 years last a lot longer. And in UCLA's case, you don't have a field that doesn't help your recruiting efforts, right? I mean, it's kind of like being recruited to the A's. Well, where am I going to play? Well, this year you're in Sacramento. Next year, I think you're in Sacramento. Next year, I think you're in Vegas, but we're not quite sure. We're maybe Salt Lake. We don't know, but come sign a contract. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right on that. Um, let's transition. Is there any first of all, let's talk schools. So I'm looking at the top 25 here. Is there any teams that surprise you that are on the top 25 to start out with? D1 top 25.
There's a few I don't know enough about to really comment on. I mean, if I remember right, Florida had a tough year last year, so to
Yeah.
see them at 10 might be a bit of a surprise. Um, Wake Forest, that's about where they were last year, if I remember right. They bounced around inside the top 25 a bit. Most of those, probably make a lot of sense. You see a few Big 12 teams in there, some other conferences represented. Um, I think personally, I guess I'm surprised that Tennessee's still top five with all the talent that was lost to the draft and everything else. Um, Maybe that's a surprise.
A couple of them stand out to me here. One is Duke. Duke finished last season at 24. They're now at 11. They had a 40 and 20 season last season. Duke is not known for its baseball; it's known for its basketball, obviously. Um, but it surprises me that they've jumped so high. Some of the other ones that are interesting. Clemson going from number 9 to 15 after a 44 and 16 season now. Again, Dave, you mentioned it perfectly. There's a lot of talent that goes either into the draft or into the portal, goes other places. So some of this stuff makes a lot of sense. Florida State, for example, right? And so,
Yeah, I think, I just did a quick glance at what the top 25 or the prediction on teams to advance to the field of 64 in June by conference. The prediction is there's seven teams from the Big 12, which is a lot for that conference. Oklahoma State, Arizona, TCU, West Virginia, Kansas, Texas Tech, and the Sun Devils. The ACC is predicted to get 10 teams into the tournament. Virginia, North Carolina, Florida State, Duke, NC State, Wake Forest, Clemson, Stanford, Louisville, and Georgia Tech. The SEC's predicted to get 12 teams into the tournament. That's a crazy number, but it's the SEC, right? And, we just talked about A&M, LSU, Tennessee, all top five. Arkansas as well, top five. Georgia, Florida, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Texas, Alabama, Auburn, and Oklahoma. A lot of folks are high on Auburn and Oklahoma. They're showing them as just outside the top 25 right now. And then five from the Big Ten, Oregon, Nebraska, Iowa, Penn State, Michigan. So if you look at that, there's 34 of the 64 teams represented by those four conferences, if those predictions come true.
well, yeah. And you also see a lot of things that you also see a lot of we were mentioning UCLA a second ago, but you also see a lot of teams that when they make the conferences, people are more adept to spend money on facilities, more adept to spend money on trying to recruit the better talent, those type of things. I just saw something come through my ticker that said A&M's the new baseball facility worth $28.3 million, right?
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I mean, they're competing in the SEC. Tennessee's, I think, in the second year of their renovation. I mean, that's 50 plus million to renovate Lindsey Nelson. So that's what you're dealing with. Alabama's got a brand new field, Florida's got a brand new field, just a few years old. So that's what you're competing with. Vanderbilt was in the middle of renovating that entire area of the campus. It's an arms race at that point. Yeah, I want to see some of these teams that have second and third year guys that have been loyal to the program and coaches doing some development. I want to see them rise to the top instead of these teams that are built through free agency. We'll see how that plays out.
I agree. I agree. I'm not a big fan of, again, at the end of the day, and this is going to sound awful, but these are still kids, right? They're young. They're still trying to
Yeah, I
figure it.
mean, and let's clarify too. I mean, you're going from JUCO to D1. That's normal. You're going from maybe a lower level D1 to a higher D1. That's normal. But when you're bouncing from, I don't know, Vanderbilt to Georgia or, high program to high program, what are we really doing?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, this makes you feel like you just got traded from one team to another, or you, like you said, use free agency, so to speak.
Well, and it makes you wonder if it's a just a personality conflict on the roster and the coaching staff, or if there's people out there just chasing money, and you
Mhm.
hate to see that for college baseball, but it's reality. I
Yeah,
just like to see some guys that show some loyalty rewarded. That would be awesome.
well, yes, it would be awesome. It's tough to, yeah, it's tough to create loyalty when you don't get it, right? I mean, they have to be loyal to their players. Players have to be loyal to them, right?
Hmm.
I just realized that the Texas A&M head coach um, was coached over at Arizona State. Didn't realize he was over there at one point.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, and you probably remember that when Coach Schlossnagle left A&M after the College World Series and all that crazy news last year, half of their roster went in the portal the next day. And then when they hired that guy, they all came back.
yeah,
So their roster is pretty well loaded.
that happens, right? That happens. So Dave, you and I both, you and I both are pretty familiar with with baseball. We both played, not necessarily at a high level, but we both played growing up. Both have seen more birthdays than others, and so we don't play anymore. But we definitely can talk about it. And so, for those of you listening, Dave's got a vested interest in college baseball right now, and we'll talk about that in a second. But this College K episode is going to air every second and fourth, not in the month of February, but in the month of March. Um, I uh, in the month of March, we're going to start second and fourth. So we'll have details for you. We'll have statistics. We'll break down different things. Dave and I are going to be doing some games together this year, so we'll be able to do a little street reporting, even maybe throw a little bit of microphone on each one of us and just have a
Yeah.
good time with it, right?
Yeah, I think last year we did some lives. We did them from Tennessee, from Alabama, from Vanderbilt, I think Auburn. So this year, um, where we're going to have the West Coast swing, I'll be at TCU, UNLV, Utah, Oklahoma State. I'll be spending a lot of time in Phoenix at Phoenix Muni. I'll be down in Tucson. I'll be at Grand Canyon, UCLA. So we'll get a few of those in.
Yeah, well, yeah, it might be easier just to list off where you're going this year, as far as college is concerned. I mean, them frequent flyer miles are good, and I'm sure you're diamond or platinum gold something with your hotel chain, whoever use for your hotel chain.
Well,
So
I had it all down to a science last year. This year's a little easier being on the West Coast since I'm in Phoenix. So,
yeah, yeah, it's definitely fun stuff right there. So, Dave, let's let everybody know before we let them have their Friday. Let's let everybody know why you got such a vested interest in college baseball. Do tell.
well, not only do I just love baseball and love the fact that you can get close to the game in college, but those of you who followed us last year know that my son was at Tennessee. Tennessee won the championship, and you know they ran with their roster. Some kids got to play, some didn't. My son didn't play a whole lot down the stretch. Made the decision to move west and come home to Arizona State, and took advantage of the transfer portal like so many of these other kids do to try to get a better situation. So look for number 20 on the Sun Devils. The team is a lot deeper than it has been in the past. They missed the tournament last year by maybe a game or two, one or two wins. So I'm looking for a 40, 45 plus win season this year. A lot of depth, a lot of offense. Um, should be a fun season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your boy out there. I'm looking forward to college baseball just being back so that I can catch a few games. There's nothing better than catching. I was explaining this to somebody the other day, and you and I have talked about this 1,000 times offline. But it seems like the college kids are still playing for something. They don't. It's not. They're not squabbling. We won't mention names, but we just had somebody sign yesterday on Thursday to a 2-year deal with a major city team less than about a week before he has to report. And another
Mm-hmm.
guy still hasn't signed yet. Last year we had two guys do that. It's not for the love of the game anymore. That's what makes college so special. It's still for the love of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you get close to the field, close to the game. You can interact with the players before and after the game. Um, you know, it's pretty darn cool when, you know, like Arizona State, when they do their open house, and I know all these schools do their own thing to open the season. And, you've got a bunch of players lined up signing autographs for 6, 7, 8, 10 year olds. And it's just cool. That's what it's all about. The kids should be, looking up at their heroes and getting their hats signed and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
that's super, super cool.
100%, 100%. So, all right. Well, Dave, we've started the first episode out. We talked a little bit about the legalese. We talked a little bit about the top 25. We'll have some more stuff, more data when we get back together. We do plan on airing an episode on the 21st, even though it's not a second or a fourth, but we
Yep.
will air one on the 21st. And so look for more details to follow on that. Look forward to having you on, Dave, and we're gonna have a good time together this year, right?
Yeah, we'll just be able to recap that first opening season. There's a lot of opening season tournaments going on. I know there's one in Houston, there's one in Dallas, and other
Mhm.
places. So we can start to recap some of that stuff and kind of see how some of these teams get out of the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Top Fan Rivalry supporters, we look forward to having you on for all the college everythings, and we'll be having a lot of fun this season. So pay attention for some lives that Dave and I will be doing. Pay attention also for some street interviews that we'll be doing from stadiums in the college area. So we will talk to you soon. Thanks, Dave.
Yep.